Welcome to this episode of Alive and Thriving. I have a very special guest joining me today, a guest who has not only built a wildly successful business, but has also been a vocal advocate for raising awareness about endometriosis. Endometriosis affects millions of women worldwide, and our guest today has had first-hand experience with this debilitating condition. Now, as you will hear, despite facing numerous challenges related to endometriosis and numerous challenges related to business, she has persevered and built a thriving business. Her journey is not only inspiring, but it also highlights the importance of health and well-being as a woman in business. So without further ado, I know you are dying to know who is coming on the episode today. Let me introduce you to Emma Williams. Emma is a Perth-based mum of 3 and sole founder of Maxx Marketing, formerly SociallyEm. Maxx Marketing is an award-winning marketing agency dedicated to empowering entrepreneurs. Emma has delivered 28 sold-out national sip and social events with Australia's leading influencers and business owners and has contributed to the success of thousands of small businesses.
You're listening to Alive and Thriving with Jessica Reed, the podcast that's all about empowering you to achieve optimal wellness and success through self-care, holistic practices, and raw conversations. Jessica and her expert guests are here to share powerful insights and strategies to help you overcome stress and anxiety, take charge of your life, and thrive in life and in business. Grab a cuppa and let's dive in.
So Emma, welcome to Alive and Thriving. It is an absolute honor to have you here with us today. How are you? How's it going?
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, I know it's a pleasure to be here. It's freezing at the moment, but
Is it? You're in Western Australia?
Yeah. I'm in Mandurah, which is an hour on the coast of Perth. But we're just starting to feel winter.
Oh, I can relate. I'm in Canberra and we've just started to get some frosty mornings here as well. But my best friend moved to Perth actually a bit over 12 months ago. It feels like the other side of the world when you have someone you love over there.
It literally is. Yeah. It's easier to go international than it is to go interstate.
Yeah, wow, my goodness. Look, Emma, I am so excited to dive into our conversation today. I feel like listeners are just going to get so much out of what you have to share. Look, I've done a formal introduction, but I would love for you to just let us know beneath SociallyEm, beneath Maxx Marketing, who is Emma Williams?
You know what, Jess, I actually really love this question because this is the first question that I open up on like retreats and intimate events is who are you without the labels? You know, take away mum, take away wife, take away all of that. Who really are you? And I kid you not, every time I ask this question, and it's the most basic question, right? But every woman is stumped to answer it. Yep. And then as she's answering it, every person starts to cry because they start to realize exactly what's going on in their life. So it's a question that I actually really love. Obviously, I am a mother of 3. I have a 13, 10, and 8-year-old. Had to think then. I had kids at a very young age. So I am 33 and started having kids at 20. So my life started, I feel like, forever ago. And I'm also a FIFO wife. So my husband works away. He's had the best part of a year off at the moment to support my dreams and help me. Well, my company was already successful and built. However, I just really needed to, when we changed from SociallyEm to Maxx, I really needed to be knee deep in that. And so we were like, okay, you've spent the best part of 10 years working away and not really seeing the children grow up. You know, worked in Africa for like 7 months at a time. Like he's worked long periods. So we were like, okay, let's take a year off and you be the stay-at-home dad so I can focus on the business. So yeah, wife and mum. I'm someone that has also just gone through a recent self-discovery of going, hell, I matter, because I have put my kids, my husband, my business before anything, before me. I was the bottom of the list, you know. I would go till 3-4 o'clock not eating, and then I would binge and not do any exercise. I was lucky to walk 1,000 steps a day. So over the past sort of 6-7 months, I've really found myself again. And I know it might sound ridiculous, but I lost who Emma was, and I hated who Emma was because it wasn't Emma. And so I have spent the best part of 6-7 months losing 16 kilos, which was, it literally goes to show you that was how much I didn't care about myself anymore. Nurturing my body and making sure I do 10,000 steps a day, even if it means walking around my kitchen island bench, which I did the other day. But you just will say, I got to the mentality of like, right, I'm sitting down and I've got to work. Like, I'm not going to get up for a walk when I've got stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
But no, going for that walk sets your mental state in such a better space that you then work better. So yeah, I am a woman that's just like every other woman out there that prioritizes everybody else above themselves.
Yeah.
Mum, wife, business owner, and a newfound person.
I love that you shared that part of your journey because it is so relatable. And I know in my world, so I work in alternative therapies and I work a lot with one-on-one clients who are experiencing, you know, anxiety, burnout, you know, really big emotional challenges. And it is such a common thing that I hear is that I have lost myself. I just don't know who I am. Who am I outside of being a mom, outside of my business, outside of these ridiculous hours that I'm working? And you lose that connection with yourself. And then it can become that like, well, do I even like who I am? Like, what has happened? How did this happen? So I love that journey of self-awareness and that journey of starting to prioritize your mental and emotional well-being. Because I mean, as I'm sure you can attest to, like, if you don't have that, you know, like how nothing else can flow in the way that it is meant to, and in a way that is going to really serve your purpose. But thank you for sharing that, because it's so important for people to hear that. I'm going to say on the outside, you have created this amazing powerhouse, heart-led business, you know, that looks phenomenal. And it's so, I guess, for somebody else in business to hear that you are just you're a normal person. You're a normal person who's created this phenomenal thing, but you're a woman, a mom, just like us with our own challenges.
That's one thing I really like to share on socials is that I will tell you if I'm having a terrible day or if this is happening, or I will take you along that process, because I do feel like we jump on social media to escape reality. Whether that be 10 minutes in the toilet to be away from the kids. And the first thing we do as a human is to pick up that phone. When you're bored, you pick up that phone. When you've got 10 minutes, you pick up that phone. And then you're literally watching other people's lives play out, because what do we go on social media for? To sticky beat, right? And when you are seeing story after story after story of other people traveling or eating this or doing this, what does that create for you? What does that do to you? You know? And so I don't even know where I was going with that, but
but showing up as real, showing up as being a real person. Yeah.
And when you actually share, like I find when I share something, people like I actually shared the other day, I was like, I hate school holidays. Yes, it's a controversial topic, but my kids hate it. I hate it. Like they want to be with their friends. They need that mental stimulation. And I just can't deal with 3 hormonal girls. It's a lot. And so many parents are like, thank you for saying that, because other school mums are like, oh no, we love it. We do this, we do this. I'm like, yeah, but what about the working mums? You know, we don't get to go have a holiday. Like we have to work and survive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's I think sharing the vulnerability to and to relate to people is something that's not often shared on there. And I'm not the pretty picture. I'm not the perfect picture. You know, last year there was a massive dark cloud over the top of me because, you know, like I said, my life, I had forgotten who Emma was and what I enjoyed and what I, you know, didn't do. I used to go to the gym twice a day and loved it purely for an escape to get away from toddlers when they were little. But then
I just hide in the closet.
as I built the business became the first priority.
Yeah.
And then the kids and hubby. And then, last year was just like, right, I'm filled with anxiety. I cry. I literally wake up and go, oh my God, I'm stuck in this rat race. Like this just going around the hamster wheel. And I'm like, but all I have is excuses.
Yeah.
Because that's all you have is excuses. If you are aware of what is going on and you see it, but you're not making change, all you have is excuses in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
To make a change.
Yep. Especially once you've brought that thing into the awareness. Okay. So I know I don't feel good. I know I have anxiety. I'm not happy. So then you have that choice. Exactly what you just said. You can either make the changes or you can sit in that space and continue to keep going down the pathway that you're going. So, wow. Okay. Wow. What a vulnerable thing to share with us. And I really, really appreciate you speaking about, I guess, just even the reality of life. I can resonate with the school holidays. I only have one in school age. My youngest is 3, so she can still go to daycare in school holidays. But my eldest is 7. And every day that I had to work, she got so upset. But it's holidays, Mum. Why aren't you spending time with me? And I felt so guilty, but I was like, I have to work, darling. Like, you know, I guess I'm creating online revenue, but when your primary revenue comes from service-based things, you don't see the client, you don't make any money. So, and it's, you're trying to balance that and balance the growth of your business and the sustainability of your clients with giving your child what she wants and needs. And it was hard. It's hard. So we all survived. Look, we're here. Let's just hope that we can survive them all for however much longer our children have to be in school for. So. Look, you've mentioned your business. Let's have a bit of a chat about Maxx Marketing. So formerly SociallyEm. I have so many questions, but I'll try and keep us to a good time. Look, I know I have heard a bit of your story in terms of your business journey, and I would love if you are happy to share a little bit about how you have gotten to where you are now, which I believe I read, 30 employees, 5 years of business, awards. You have achieved so many phenomenal things, but I don't believe it was easy for you, was it? Like, it's not been some smooth sailing, I'm just going to start this business and all of a sudden I'm thriving. Can you tell us about your journey?
Yeah, I mean, mine is just like every other person that has business. It's up and down, it's ebbs and flows, right? But basically I started SociallyEm. So I had 2 previous businesses, one in e-commerce and one in a similar industry, but that in itself is a whole big story. So I had a similar business to what I had now, went into business with a friend, realized that she had different values to I am I wear my heart on my sleeve and will do anything for anyone, emotionally driven and heartfelt. And unfortunately, my business partner, who was my best friend, is money driven. And so therefore, those 2 values in business don't go very well. So I walked away from a business that I had built on my own, then brought her in to help and sold and etc. And it didn't work out. So I walked away empty-handed. And at that stage, I was completely broken. It had destroyed me. And and, you know, walking away from something you've just invested your, you know, 3-4 years into, which in business is like 40 years.
Yeah. If you can survive 3 or 4 years, you think you're going to make it, right?
Right. Yeah.
What a tough decision to decide, like to make that decision to walk away. Was it something, I guess, how did you find the strength to know that this was a situation that you actually had to walk away from?
So the first thing any business owner needs is either a coach or a therapist, or both.
I've got both.
Yeah.
And I am both.
Yes. So I, at that stage, was going through a really life-changing, pivotal point in my life. I was 28. And because I met my husband at 17, first child at 20, married at 21, I always had something going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so by the time I got to 28, my kids were older, they were all at school full time. And it was first time I sat and thought about Emma. And my husband was overseas. He'd been gone for 4 or 5 months by that stage. And I really just emotionally got so depressed, and I couldn't figure out why. I didn't understand, like, my life was great. Like, I don't understand what was going on. Yes, I was in a business relationship with my best friend. It wasn't great. Like, it was toxic, very toxic. But I went and saw a therapist, and she was like, you have been raising babies, you have been go, 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 go. And now for the first time in your life, you're thinking about Emma, and you're realizing that the trauma from those prior years, you haven't actually processed. So I had a very abusive childhood, and it wasn't easy. And a lot of my family members weren't fully aware of the extent of it. At 28, I came out and told them the full story of everything that had happened, and they sort of had pieced together and realized what had happened. And I had this very massive, like, weight had just shifted off me. And what my therapist had said is I had replaced that person, that parent that was abusive, with a friend that was sort of toxic in the same ways. And I hadn't realized it. And I was falling for friendships that treated me the same way that person did.
Yeah. Do you know, I was having a conversation with somebody about this sort of thing yesterday, about that pattern in relationships. And it's just so much, you know, it's what your nervous system knows to be safe.
Yes.
So, and I know you know this, but for anybody listening, you know, even if you consciously know that what is going on is not good for you, or you're not happy, or that it is abusive, but that is literally what your nervous system knows to be safe, what's been repeated in your life. And so you will continue to want to, not logically want to, but subconsciously want to be in these situations that are mimicking what you have defined as being comfortable, as being normal, as being safe. Wow. What a big thing, and what a weight after all these years to stop and acknowledge that trauma, because it catches up. You can't, I think people think, oh, it's 10, 15, 20 years ago, I should be over it, or it hasn't happened for that long. But it does, it lives in your body, it lives in your mind, and it will show up when you're ready. I think too, I truly believe it shows up in someone's consciousness, or it shows up in their body, in the anxiety, in the depression, in the illness, in the pains. It shows up when you're ready to deal with it too.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was, I just couldn't take it anymore, between realizing what the hell I had been through and all this toxic energy. It was like, you know what, money is, I'm just going to walk away from this whole situation, because money will come and go. But your mental state is the most important thing you could ever nurture. So I walked away. Within 4 weeks, I sort of had all my clients being like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Because we're coming with you. And I'm like, oh, I'm not really like in the capacity to do this. And then it was, well, if you don't sort your shit out, we're going to go elsewhere. And then I was like, well, I was hiding behind a brand that didn't allow me to be the full potential that I had. And so then my best friend, who was my first ever client, I had met through, she was my first client, became my best friend, said, either you start again or you walk away. And so then SociallyEm was born.
Wow. Yeah.
And within 3 months of starting as me, as just me as the brand, a personal brand, within 3 months, I had reached 6 figures, 10,000 followers. And I had built something that I was like, okay, crap, I either need to close the doors and have a wait list, or I teach other women what I know that can then help other women.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And then from there, SociallyEm evolved. And because back then, 5 years ago, women supporting women wasn't a thing. And social media advice was not a thing. You had to pay top dollar for agencies. There was people not giving out those tips. And so here was me being like, hey, this is how you do this for free. And they're like, wait a minute, who is this golden person? and that's, I truly believe back then there was nothing like what it is now. And that was the starting point for me. And I think, and a lot of people would come in being like, why are you doing this? Why are you giving this all away for free? And I'm like, well, if you show them what you have to offer, they can see the results immediately, and then they're going to come back wanting more.
Yeah.
And
is it over 5,000 people have done your signature course? Correct me if my numbers are wrong. Is that how many people roughly have gone through your signature course?
So I think that, it'd be pretty close, and the same amount for the tour as well. So I would say that the pivotal point, like where SociallyEm really sort of took off, was when we first announced. I did a workshop in Perth, and it sold out within a couple of days. And I was like, oh, wow, people actually want to learn about Instagram and business. And then I did the workshop, and people were like, oh, I just really would love, like, this is amazing, like meeting other people that are going through the same thing as me, like other stay-at-home moms that have got businesses, like, oh, I wish there was an event, right? And he goes, my brain going, well, let me create the first ever Instagram event.
Oh, I love that kind of brain.
Let me fix
for
that.
it, I will deliver.
Exactly. And then so we launched a national tour, 4 cities in a week, which was absurd. Don't recommend doing it. I was exhausted.
Oh my God. Oh, that is just phenomenal. Oh, more people want to learn. Let's do a national tour. I
know.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I love this. I just hear this like fearlessness that is coming out. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm really excited. I'm like sitting here jumping in my seat. I love this story.
Yeah, I mean, look, I when I started SociallyEm, I was $85,000 in personal debt. We had kids young, didn't have the role models, got ourselves into debt. And so then launching a national tour meant you could risk your whole family here. You had to pay for everything up front. But luckily I'm really good at marketing. And it did so well. And that was a big pivotal point, and it did so well. But then on the back of it, so the last ever show was Melbourne. 3 days later, I remember flying home, and they'd just given us a free upgrade to business class. So we felt on top of the world after just touring Australia. They gave us a free upgrade, and I got an email from Fashion Week, Australian Fashion Week, being like, we want you to host your own panel at our Fashion Week with women in business. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, it's insane. 3 days later, COVID hits.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
And then we're all in a lockdown. And 2 weeks later, my business had dropped 76% in revenue. So everything I had worked hard for was gone. It was,
right.
But instead of sitting in a corner rocking back and forth and crying, instead of cleaning out the kitchen cupboards like everyone else in Australia was, I went back to my roots. I was doing free workshops online, teaching everyone how to make money online.
Yeah.
For 12 hours a day with 3 kids at home in COVID while my husband was overseas. So that, again, I pivoted and adapted. And that's one thing that I've really learned in business is pivot and adapt.
Yeah.
There has been so many shit shows.
Yeah.
And I've just had to go, right, how do we fix this? What do we do?
Wow. And yeah, something like COVID, obviously so out of everybody's control, and such a fear-based experience for so many people. And so I love that pivot and adapt. And clearly you are very skilled at being able to do that. So you were socially M at this point in time. What was your pivotal moment where you realized that what you had created had become bigger than you and become bigger than, bigger than a one woman show as as a brand and as a business service? How did you know that Maxx was your next step?
Well, I remember Tamika, my business operations manager. So she came in when she's literally saved the day. I couldn't do it anymore. It was so overwhelming managing staff, managing the day-to-day operations, while also like you said, you have to show up on socials, you've got to have a presence in your business. I couldn't do it all. And Tamika came in and I remember her saying, I think we need to rebrand. And at this point I was like, no, I literally, my words were over my dead body. Because I had spent 3 years building this incredible personal brand. Why on earth would I change it, right?
Yeah.
And then as time went on, I guess she planted that seed, and I realized, like, if I didn't show up on socials every day, sales were impacted. And I'm one person, behind the scenes. I was trying to manage the business, organize events, like all the different elements of the business, being a director.
Yeah.
Being a director, a social media manager, a parent, everything in between.
Yeah. And your husband's FIFO, so he's not always around. Yeah.
And
Wow.
what I realized was, like, I couldn't be it all anymore. And that's where a lot of small businesses go wrong, is like they get to that breaking point and they're not aware of what that next step is. And so we took a huge financial investment to grow and scale, as they say. We had to rebrand, we had to change. And the thing is, SociallyEm was started on the bones of one person. But by that stage, we had an incredible team. And the thing is, like, people were slipping into my DMs, and I still managed solely the DMs, but it was the people that were doing the work with the women that I had trained and more than capable than me. Like, I will always say my staff are better trained than I am, because they're knee deep in it. They're so incredible. And so I was like, they're hiding behind this personal brand. They deserve this platform to share their story, to share who they are. And people still thought that when they purchased a hashtag package from me, it was going to me. And yes, it definitely supports my family, but it also supports 30 other families.
And I love, because I follow you on social media, and I love how so many of your posts now are such a big mix of your staff, of your team who are out there supporting these women that are coming to Maxx Marketing. And when you were just saying, how they were sort of having to hide behind that personal brand, I love that as a part of your rebrand, they have become such a big part of it. It just seems like such a beautiful, losing the word, you know what I'm trying to say, like community and culture is the word that I was looking for. Such a beautiful culture that you've created. And that's such a massive achievement. I want to ask you some questions. I want to have a bit of a chat about your personal endometriosis journey, because I know that's something that is important to you in terms of awareness, and obviously played a pivotal part in how you got to where you are as well. But just before I finish up chatting about the business, if someone's listening and they are that person who's crying in the corner right now because everything's gone to shit and you're like, oh my God, I just don't know what to do, it feels like too much, what would you say to that woman?
That you can either continue down this path of rocking back and forth, or you can reach out for help, because there is help. My sole purpose, I feel, in business is to literally see other people succeed, because that's truly what makes me happy.
Yeah.
But there is options. And the one thing I would say to any business owner is, and the biggest mistake that they make, is not investing in their education.
Yeah.
You will only ever stay at this point unless you invest in educating yourself to growing. If you are sitting there going, oh, well, I've had no sales this week, or I've got no sales, or this isn't working, then you've either got time or money. This is one thing Tamika taught me, and the biggest analogy that I love to use: time or money, right? You can only have one. Time to learn and educate yourself, or do you have the money to outsource it?
Yeah.
You can't have both.
Yes.
As a business owner, you can't be doing both. And that's what people try to do, is they're trying to manage it all, be a social media manager, plus a director, plus a packing order and making products or servicing their clients. Time or money, right? So you either invest in somebody doing it for you that then will come back in more sales because it's being done correctly.
Yeah.
Or you learn how to do it.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Do you know, I shared with you just before we got on this call, I am very much in that mindset. Last year, a few people I know thought I was absolutely crazy because before my business was making money, I invested myself in a high level mastermind so I could be around people doing the same thing, up in that 1% crazy people doing the same thing, but also learn. Off people who were where I wanted to be and educate myself in business. And part of that journey was me learning exactly what you just said. I love that time or money analogy. I'd never heard it like that. But I just learned there's so many things I did not want to be putting my time into because it was actually taking away from me making money. And before I felt like I was ready, I mean, my team right now is only a VA, myself and a VA, it's still small in that regard. But before I felt like I was ready, I hired and I outsourced my Facebook ads because I did not feel that for me, the value in spending the time to learn that and to try and understand it. Oh my God. And then I've outsourced, Maxx Marketing does my Pinterest ad management because again, I love the idea of being on Pinterest. I know that it's going to be a great platform for me and what I share, but was there any value in me trying to learn how to do it effectively when somebody else, that's their job. Like that's, you have beautifully trained staff who are phenomenal at what they do, who are able to just pick up my Pinterest marketing and run with it. And I love that. Absolutely love that. Were you ready to hire 30 people? Like, was that, were you ready for that? Was that like,
God, no. No. Definitely not. It's just like I'm at a point in my business now that it's foreign to me. I've never been at this point in business where I'm making decisions and having to think of things that is so new to me. And that's why, I have a business coach that has walked the walk. It's so important to have someone. It's like going to the doctor, right? So if your child's sick, yes, you can go on Google and you could figure it out, right? You're going to sort of learn, but you go to the doctor and you're going to get that helpful straight away, solved your problem, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you could save money by not going to the doctor, but you're getting somebody who is experienced telling you what to do. And so for me, having a business coach has helped that, because they're ahead of me. And it's like you were just saying, don't surround yourself with people that are at the same level as you. Surround yourself with people that are better than you and have walked the walk, because that's how you grow. That's not how you stay stagnant. But no, I certainly was not ready for 30 staff. Still not ready. Still winging it every day over here. Because the thing is, Jess, I'm in such a different, like, my business is so different to anything else that's out there. Most agencies don't offer as many services as we offer. Most agencies don't give as much value. Most agencies don't have a huge community. Most agencies don't do national events and things like this. Like there is no one that I can go, hey, we do the same thing. Can I have your advice?
Let's have a chat. Yeah.
Love that for me, that it means I've built something that's so different to what's out there, but also it's bloody hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow. Okay. At the end, just for anyone listening, Emma is going to share some of her favorite services from Maxx Marketing at the end of this conversation as well. So stay tuned to hear how she can actually help you if you are stuck in your business, because I highly recommend not staying stuck. Ask for help. Ask for help. Like Emma said, every business owner needs a coach. Every business owner needs a therapist. So don't stay stuck. Don't stay feeling like crap. Just get moving and get it done. So let's have a bit of a chat about endometriosis. Now, this I know is starting to gain traction in awareness, but I also know that for so many women who've suffered it, and I'm very thankful that I haven't, I've had investigations. There was questions as to whether it was, and it wasn't for me. But for so many women who've suffered it, you've suffered it much longer than it has, been a talking point on social media for. You've suffered in silence for years and years and years and years, and it has had detrimental effects on your health and your life, I imagine. And just before you start sharing a little bit about your journey, which I believe started around age 10, if I'm correct, I just wanted to share with listeners, there's a reel that Emma posted and it actually really moved me. So I'm just going to actually read it, your caption, if that's okay. So this reel on SociallyEm, it says, it's talking about endometriosis, and it's saying it's not the period disease. It's not the painful period. And 1 in 9 women suffer in silence. And that just was like, for me, I just went, wow, that is absolutely phenomenal. And in your caption, you say, this is endometriosis. 1 in 9 women suffer in silence every single day. It'll have them cancelling plans and looking like a bad friend. It'll mean they can't have sex with their partners for weeks on end. They'll look 6 months pregnant due to the extreme inflammation and bloating, which causes the most uncomfortable pain. Their legs and back will ache beyond imaginable. They'll bleed heavily and for long periods or not at all. It'll cause depression and divorces. It'll make them feel so isolated and alone. Doctors ignore their pleas due to their lack of training on the disease. So I know there's a bit more talking about how every organ is impacted and whatnot, but I hear that, and you've said they will. This just feels so personal as you say that. Is this your experience with endometriosis?
Yeah, it's even just hearing you read that about makes me cry.
It really moved me. It was really beautifully written.
I wrote that just a few months ago, just before my surgery, because I had surgery in February. So it's something that has near on broke me my whole life, but also something that I feel I have been given to, because I have a voice. I'm someone that won't just lay there quietly. I'm someone that will use my voice to help others. And it honestly has been the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I'm so experienced in it now, because I've done, I've had 12 surgeries now.
Wow.
Since I think 2015, we started, no, might have been a little, 2014, 2015. So 12 surgeries now, multiple doctors, stage 4. So basically when I had always had pain with intercourse, and my periods were always extremely painful. So from age of 10, I got my period at 10, which is an early indication. So if any mothers are out there listening, early periods is a good indication of endometriosis.
Okay.
So obviously at 10, there's not a great deal you can do. It's just, please be mindful when they say it's painful, it's freaking painful. So I was missing 2 or 3 days a month out of school because my period was so painful at 10. I was put on the pill, which is not great at all. But back then doctors just didn't know enough about it. So I was put on the pill and fixed that problem until I went to have children, and then came off the pill, and then the periods were just intense and intercourse was painful. And I just assumed intercourse was supposed to hurt until I met my husband, and he was like, why are you crying after intercourse? This is not normal. Like, I don't want to make you hurt. Like, it shouldn't hurt.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
And he was like, no, like there's something wrong. And then obviously I had my first child during pregnancy. It's great because obviously your ovaries are producing endometriosis. So if your ovaries are, if you're pregnant, you're not producing. It wasn't until after my second child that it was so bad. I would spend most of my days on the floor in a ball crying with a toddler and a baby. It was just brutal. Anyway, it wasn't until I moved to Mandurah now, because I lived in Kalgoorlie, and in Kalgoorlie they were just like, it's a painful period, go home, like get over it, basically.
Wow.
It wasn't until I saw a doctor here that they were like, look, we've tried everything, we've done it, we've tried the Mirena, we've tried the pill, we need to go in and have a look. Now, if any doctor says this to you, say no, because surgery, once you open that door, that's all your options. Because when they burn off the endometriosis, it grows back thicker and quicker, and then you're going to need more surgery.
Wow.
All it takes to discover if you do have endometriosis is also, like, when you get sent to do an ultrasound, you need to go to a women's clinic that specialize in diseases, because they know what to look for, because endometriosis doesn't come up in an ultrasound. So they need to be trained to know what to look for. And so again, I didn't know this. Fast forward, lots of surgeries, lots of getting nothing, like it was just a reoccurring thing. By the time I was 28, a friend had suggested to go and see this specialist that specialized in endometriosis. And it wasn't until I saw him, and he said, most gynos will just throw you on the surgery table because they don't know how to fix it, or put you on the pill or Mirena. That's their answers. There is so many other drugs or trials or things that you can do before you get to surgery, ways to help it. Just even women's physio, like there's just so many options. And it wasn't until I saw him, and he was like, it's because they haven't done the advanced training that's required. Like they're a gyno, they're a baby doctor, or, they don't specialize in diseases. It wasn't until I saw him that he really educated me on everything. But unfortunately, I was stage 4. I trialed a drug, so I had injections in my stomach each month, one injection, which mimics a hysterectomy. So it basically tells your brain to switch everything off down there.
Wow.
Life-changing. That 6 months was life-changing. I felt like a new person. There was no pain every day. I could have intercourse. Obviously you don't get your period while you're on it. It was incredible. And he said, if that works, we go ahead with a hysterectomy. So at 28, I had a hysterectomy. Wow. I was, during the pre-process of that, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. So it was necessary for me anyway. Then I went on to live an incredible life, but then for the first 2 to 3 years, he did say to me, you'll be back in 5 years. And I went, why? And he's like, because we've kept your ovaries. When you keep your ovaries, you still produce endometriosis, but at a slower rate.
Right.
So then fast forward 3 years, I had started to get symptoms again, and slowly, but then towards the end of last year, it was just, it was controlling my everyday. I couldn't go for a walk because I would come home bedridden for 2 days. The pain was astronomical. Anyway, I went and had surgery in February to do a clear out, because he said there's nothing else we can do. We need to go in and we need to get it out, because they also couldn't find my ovary. It was gone. It was missing. What they found in there was that my left ovary was completely wrapped around my bowel. And so prior to surgery, I couldn't open my bowel for 2 weeks.
Wow.
I was going to the toilet once every 2 weeks. And you can imagine that pain from that alone.
Oh, absolutely.
And so he said the endometriosis was minimal. However, I was riddled with adhesions from all of the years of surgeries.
Oh my goodness.
And that is what was stuck to everything. So he showed me photos of it, and my bowel, my bladder, and my ovary were all completely stuck together and all tangled up.
Wow.
And so it took him 2 hours. He thought the surgery was going to be 10, 15 minutes. He was in there for 2 hours, just untangling it all and cutting it all off. And this is just the things that people they don't have these conversations is it's not a painful period. If your friend says to you, God, my periods are so painful, do something about it and support them.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be painful.
That was going to be one of my questions for you, actually. I would love to know in terms of, well, I guess, first of all, in terms of the support that you received, what kind of support did you need through this process? But then also I'm wondering if, what message would you have for anyone who knows, like you said, a friend, a sister, mother, partner who is experiencing, it's endometriosis, or you have signs that it could possibly be. How can you support them as well?
It's the most isolating disease, because unless you've experienced it, you don't know the pain that person's going through. And when you say, oh, my period is so painful, people just brush you off. And so then when you do voice your concerns, you are made to feel so small. And then you start to feel like it's in your head. And every endometriosis warrior that I talk to will say to you, I feel like it's in my head.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just affect your periods, it affects every part of it. The headaches, the painful legs, the painful back, the bloating. There is a huge list of endometriosis of things and every person is so different with this disease. Educate yourself and support them, because when I told people that I had endometriosis back in the day, oh, what's that? Oh, that's weird. And then if I'd had to cancel an event or not go to something, oh, how rude, educate yourself and support them. Drop off heat packs or drop off food, or like ask them if they're okay. Like, God, I wish that there was sick leave. Like, imagine, and this is the worst part. The worst part was calling my boss to be like, I couldn't come in because I had a painful period, and him being like, get over it.
Yeah.
The lack of knowledge is just poor. It's certainly come so far in 10 years. It has certainly come so far. And I feel like that's from people like myself who are voicing it and actually showing you. It's not like, I had a nurse reply to me just before I had surgery in February. And she was like, if it wasn't for you physically showing me every day, well, not every day, but when I do have things going on, the extent of it, I wouldn't know. She's like, when people come in for endometriosis into ED, they're told to take some pain relief and go home. Which is the very worst thing anyone with endometriosis wants. Like, we need comfort. We need to be like, I know you're in pain. My actual doctor in February, when it was really bad, like so painful, it was the worst pain I've ever been in, he said, please go to King Eddie's, which is a women's and babies hospital in Perth. And I was like, but I'm not having a baby. And he's like, go to King Eddie's. Do not go to your local hospital. And I went there. And obviously I actually looked pregnant. Like you could get, I was holding my belly as if I was pregnant. And she goes, "You're not pregnant. You've got endometriosis, don't you?" This is the triage nurse. And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "You poor love, please come straight through." She put me on the bed. She gave me a heat pack, instant pain relief. We're going to do some more investigation.
Yeah.
That's the first time in my whole life a hospital has not dismissed me.
Wow.
And made me feel seen. And that's the thing, is like, you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
You as a friend or a partner or a loved one can't do anything about it, but make them feel seen.
Yeah. Oh, Emma, that's what was coming to me as you were speaking, particularly when you were talking about being brushed off. Is my head was like, "Oh my God, if you can't fix it, at least validate what they're feeling." Like, just,
Yeah.
oh wow. So if you know somebody who suffers from endometriosis, you nurture them, you ask them if they're okay, you bring them heat packs, you cook for them, and you make sure that you validate how they're feeling and tell them that it's not in their head and
And
that,
help them
yeah.
get other opinions. Like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for another opinion. Because there's so many options out there that women just aren't aware of. And don't see a regular gyno. Please see a specialist that specializes in it.
Yeah. Oh, such a powerful message and such a beautiful, strong voice that you have to talk about such a personal experience. But, as an endometriosis warrior, something that is obviously so important for other people who feel like they are suffering alone to understand. Well, thank you so much for sharing such vulnerable stories. I really, really just, I have no words. I have absolutely no words. And it just blows my mind that people in pain and people experiencing something that is so debilitating can just be brushed off. It just, oh,
And we have to go about
breaks
our
my,
regular lives. That's the
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And like you really, when you said, you had to call into work to your male boss to say, "I can't come in because I have a painful period." And I can just see, I can see how that would just be so dismissed, because I know, I cannot compare anything, just as a woman who does get painful periods and wants to do nothing but curl up in bed for a few days, with a heat pack on my lower back and my front, and hide away from the world and cry, basically. I couldn't imagine being in an extensive amount of debilitating pain and having to try and function. To be
Mm.
honest, it just doesn't seem, and even just from a cycle perspective, we're not designed to function when we're in our menstrual cycle anyway. We're designed already to turn inward and to retreat and to nurture ourselves. And so adding that massive element onto it is phenomenal. Can I just ask, because you mentioned when you were 28, this all sort of really came to fruition. Did you say that you were 28 too, around the time that business was imploding for you as well? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that in 28 was a big,
Yeah.
yeah.
A big year. Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
goodness
But,
me.
it's also part of the reason I am here today. So,
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. It might be shit right now, but you got to take the rain with the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just as we wrap up this conversation, I would love to just know, in terms of well-being. I know you mentioned at the beginning of this episode that you have started to really realize that there were changes that you needed to make for your own physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And so, I'm just wondering, as a mum, 3 kids, business, really busy business, 30 employees to look after. How do you support your well-being now? What do you consider to be essential for you?
Making time every day for myself. And I know if people are listening to this, if they're not doing that, you will have an excuse just hearing those words. You'll go, "Well,
Yeah.
I don't have time." I don't have time. Like I have literally been recording my working time over the last week to see, this is a great tool for other business owners. I've been literally putting it on a program called Toggle, which you then enter what job you're doing and how long you're doing. So you turn it off and on to be able to track it. I'm working 12-hour days at the
Wow.
moment.
Yeah.
12-hour days, 3 kids on my own, right? I don't have freaking time, but I make the time, right? So my kids now catch the bus to school because they want to. And also where we moved, it's a bit further away from school, but they want to. So now what I do is, instead of going back to bed or getting straight into work or doing housework or things like that, I will go for a walk, or I will go to a PT session. I will make that time for me, because I like to walk in pure silence to be with my thoughts. Being with yourself in thoughts is incredible. You don't need music, you don't need podcasts, just listen to you, because that's you listening to what your mental and your body wants. But find time for you. So I make sure that no matter what I'm doing, I will find time. Also nurturing yourself with food. Making sure that you eat the right foods, find time for you, and prioritize you. One thing I also make sure is once a month, making sure that I catch up with friends, and then once a fortnight, hubby has been home, so once a fortnight we were doing date nights. Changes now, so when he's home on his break, we'll do it. Your marriage, if you are married, is so important to me. He's my best friend and I absolutely adore him. And I would say, we've been together for 15 years, and the thing that has lasted, the thing that makes us so strong is communication, and that we put ourselves before anything else, in terms of we prioritize our personal relationship, Emma and Jed, before our children, before work, before anything. Emma and Jed is what makes the wheels turn, So if we are not having an hour a fortnight to ourselves to be able to let those barriers down and be like, unwind, I love you.
You will keep your relationship alive.
Yes.
How else does it stay alive if you don't keep it alive?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Such valuable advice there. So for anybody listening, who obviously I'll link all of your socials, your website, all the things down below the episode. But for anyone listening who's thinking, oh, yep, I need some help with my business, or I'm just curious what outsourcing might start to look like, tell me, what's your favorite product? Or maybe not a favorite, but what do we need to know about that Maxx Marketing has going on at the moment?
I have a few different things, I guess. I would say our six-figure course is probably one of my favorite things, which is a program that I built knee deep in COVID, at the very beginning of COVID. So when businesses were really struggling, I was like, heck, let me put everything I know into a program and coach you and guide you. So it's an 8-week program that is literally got everything from the startup to being paid advertising, everything in it. It's literally a Bible for businesses. And we've built so many successful 6-figure businesses from that program. So it's one that I really, really love. We only open it twice a year because it is really guided by us, and we're there every week guiding you. So that opens in May. We've also got our lower cost membership. So our Maxx Members Lounge, which is
I saw that recently.
Yeah, I am loving it at the moment. Love it. It's been incredible. I really listen to what our customers were needing at the moment, and they need the education, they need the community, they need to be able to brainstorm in Zoom sessions with other people that are in their space. They also need experts, but paying for all of those individually is so expensive. So what we've done is combine it all and put it into a membership, and made it so low cost, like $29 a month is unheard of.
Wow.
So yeah, we've built this beautiful membership, which has only been live for about 5 weeks now. But the members in there are loving it, and I love the feedback. And then we also have one-on-one coaching with me. And we also have all of our done for you services. So if you need something done, we have a team that can do it. So I build my business on either you can learn or you can outsource, time or money, right?
Oh, amazing. Emma, thank you so much for this conversation. My body is like, oh my God. You moved me in so many ways and inspired me. And so I'm sure you have inspired everybody who is listening. Go on, check out SociallyEm if you're not already following, Maxx Marketing if you're not already following. Emma, I'm sure you have 12 hours worth of work to continue to do today. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jess. And sorry if I rambled on about things. I get so passionate.
No, I love hearing the passion. And yeah, like I said, you really moved me today. So I think, yes, so much value in what you've shared.
Thanks, Jess.